I want to thank everyone that's made this evening possible and our sponsors, and I'm going to go through some of those sponsors and recognize those individuals beginning now, and I will repeat myself. For the Dean's Council, we'd like to thank Charlotte and Tom Cohn. For the sustaining benefactors, Bob and Marlene Eskin Moses, also John T. Rochford III, Rudy Title and Escrow, Larry R. Williams, and the Law School Advocates is the Law Office of R. Eddie Davidson, DVL Siegenthaler, Equitable Trust Company, Judge Mark Fishburne, Laura Dykes, William C. Koch Jr., Thomas W. Lawless, Lowry and Cherry, the Maddox Foundation, Neal and Harwell, Jack Spans Insurance, Toon Intrican and White, and Underhill, Niewold, Hager, Underhill, and Evans. The table sponsors are Lynn E. Alexander, Beck and Beck Attorneys, Burr and Foreman LLP, Luther E. Cantrell Jr., Cornelius and Collins, Carlton, Kitch, and Barexa, Dodson, Parker, Beam, and Caparella, First Tennessee Bank, Julie and Doug Fisher, GSRM Law, Hale and Hale, Terry J. Leonard, Lewis Thompson, Nashville Scottish Rite, Parsley and Strickland, Patterson Intellectual Property Law, Michelle Poss, Klein Preston Law Group, and Regions Bank. Rogers, Cam and Shea, Rudy Winstead Turner, Sherrard Rowe Voigt and Harbison, Story, Abernathy and Campbell, the Tennessee Trial Lawyers Association. Also, I'd like to extend a special thanks to the Board of Trust, Aubrey B. Harwell Jr., Chairman, the Honorable Frank G. Clement Jr., Thomas F. Cohn Sr., Honorable Waverly D. Crenshaw Jr., Honorable Frank E. F. Derwolta III, John T. Rochford III. My name is Charlie Niewold, and I'd like to welcome you to the Nashville School of Law Recognition Dinner for the year 2017. If y'all could make your way to your table, the bar is going to stay open all evening, and we will be serving dinner in a little while, so I want you to make yourself at home. I wanted to let you know the faculty honoree is the Honorable Robert E. Corlew III, who just came back from the United States. He's the president of the International Lions Club and has been traveling the world with goodwill and brotherhood. The graduate honorees are Larry R. Williams, and he was in the class of 1974, Mary Frances Rudy, and she was in the class of 1988. I'd like to give a special thanks to our sponsors tonight, and on the category of the Dean's Council, we'd like to thank Charlotte and Tom Cohn. For the sustaining benefactors, Bob and Marlene Eskin Moses, John T. Rochford III, Rudy Title and Escrow, Larry R. Williams. And in the category of Law School Advocates, the Law Office of R. Eddie Davidson, DVL Siegenthaler, Equitable Trust Company, Judge Mark Fishburne and Laura Dykes, William C. Koch Jr., Thomas W. Lawless, Lowry, and Cherry, the Maddox Foundation, Neal and Harwell, Span Insurance, Toon, Intricon, and White, the Law Office of Underhill, Niewold, Hager, Underhill, and Evans. And for the table sponsors, Lynn E. Alexander, Beck and Beck Attorneys, Burr and Foreman, LLP, Luther E. Cantrell, Jr., Cornelius and Collins, Carlton, Kitch, and Berexa, Dobson, Parker, Beam, and Caparella, First Tennessee Bank, Julie and Doug Fisher, GSRM Law, Hale and Hale, Terry J. Leonard, Lewis Thompson, Nashville Scottish Rite, Parsley, and Strickland, Patterson Intellectual Property Law, Michelle Poss, Klein Preston Law Group, Regions Bank, Rogers, Cam and Shea, Rudy Winstead Turner, Sherrard Voigt and Harbison, Story, Abernathy and Campbell, and the Tennessee Trial Lawyers Association. If everyone would go ahead and take their seats, we will start the program. I want to thank each and every one of you in the room for participating in this year's recognition dinner. And I want you to know that the money that's raised goes 100% to scholarships for the students after the cost of the dinner. So by contributing your time and your resources, the students, one goal is to have them graduate where they don't have debt. And I think that's one of the things that the dean has envisioned in what is happening. If everyone would go ahead and take their seats, we'll have the invocation. If everyone would please move into the ballroom and have a seat, we will start serving food. And the invocation tonight is going to be given by the Honorable Sam E. Coleman. He's the newest General Sessions Judge in Davidson County, and we'd like to congratulate him. And if everyone would please take your seat, I'm going to ask the Honorable Sam E. Coleman to come up to the podium and deliver the invocation. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Okay, I'm going to warn you guys, if you don't stop talking, I'm going to sing. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob, we get a chance to assemble tonight through your divine grace and mercy. We thank you for allowing the Nashville School of Law alumni, staff, faculty, family, and friends to join in fellowship. Now we ask for your blessings in the nourishment of our body. Dear Lord, we know without you, there would be none of us. We ask that you throw your arms around us. We ask that you bless us and you guide us. And you make this night the one marvelous night that we always come to know, the first Friday in June. Dear God, we ask that you be with us tonight. And may you continue to bless this great state and bless this great city in the Nashville School of Law. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Judge Coleman. I'd like for everyone to remember that there's glasses on the table that have the Nashville School of Law, and these are your to take home with you. So I'll remind you at the close of the program, but if you would please remember these glasses are for everyone to take as a party gift and from the school to take home. Enjoy your dinner.
I'd like to extend my welcome to each and every one of you who are here tonight. The fact that your presence is here makes this gathering very special. Let me thank again Judge Sam Coleman, our newest member of the General Sessions bench, for the invocation tonight. Thank you, Sam. And before we get into the business at hand, let's all think some good thoughts for Sunday night and the Predators across the street. And we're looking forward to a 7th game in Pittsburgh. I don't know about you. But thank you for joining us tonight to celebrate the Nashville School of Law's 106th year. We have a tradition at the school of enabling Tennesseans from all walks of life to obtain a quality legal education, and the net proceeds of this dinner will provide scholarships to help deserving students fulfill their dreams to become a lawyer, just as the Nashville School of Law has fulfilled many of your dreams. Our school has been able to accomplish its historic mission because the Supreme Court, through the through the Board of Law Examiners, permits our graduates to sit for the bar exam in Tennessee. 3 of the 5 members of the Supreme Court are with us tonight: Chief Justice Jeff Bivens, Justice Cornelia Clark, and Justice Roger Page. I would appreciate it if you all would mind standing so we can thank you for coming. We are also fortunate this evening to have with us many other persons, judges and others in elective office, and those who serve the government in important capacities with us tonight. And it would please me no end to recognize in each and every one of you, but we know that one of the reasons why this program is so well attended is because we keep the after-dinner remarks short. And so I'm not going to name all the other government and elected officials are here, but I would appreciate it if you are an elected official, a judge, or another government officer, if you'd stand up and let us thank you all for your work. But you know, the story of the Nashville School of Law is really the story of its graduates. And we have many Nashville School of Law graduates here tonight. So I'd ask you all, if you're a Nashville School of Law graduate, please stand and let us recognize you too. What a great group. And each one of those graduates that just stood will also tell you that they could not have done what they did going to the school without the support of their family, friends, and employers. And so I'd ask all of you in the room who supported and sustained one of our Nashville School of Law graduates while they were studying the law, if you would stand and let us thank you too. You know, and then there are the Nashville School of Law students. You know, what a bunch of folks they are. They come from wonderfully varied backgrounds, but there are two things that unite them. One is their desire to obtain a law degree, and the other is to overcome any obstacle standing in their path. Our students are the dreamers that our society needs. And so I'd ask any current Nashville School of Law student who is here to stand so we can appreciate your grit, your tenacity, and your potential. Would the students stand? The school's direction is forged by the members of our Board of Trustees. And it's their strategic vision that helps us move in the direction that we move to fulfill our historic mission. And we are very fortunate tonight to have four of the members of our board with us. Tom Cohn, our immediate past board chair, Frank Clement, judge on the Tennessee Court of Appeals, Chief Judge Waverly Crenshaw of the United States District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee, and John Rochford. Would you all mind standing and let us thank you for your work? Finally, there are the persons whose heads, hands, and hearts organized this dinner. You've already heard from Charlie Niewold, who chaired our dinner committee again this year. Charlie, we are grateful that you have led us to new heights every year for the past 8 years. We're also grateful to our staff members and volunteers who worked so hard to make this event tonight a success. So will all of you who have worked on the dinner committee, and on the arrangements tonight, if you'd stand and let us thank you as well. In addition to the fellowship and the camaraderie we've enjoyed tonight, we have several other important matters to attend to. It's our collective privilege to recognize 3 individuals for their significant contributions to the Nashville School of Law, Tennessee's legal system, and to the community in general. Each of these persons easily merits the spotlight. Their reputations precede them. Because of the length of their reach and the breadth of their impact, my introductions for each of these persons could be detailed, encyclopedic, and very time-consuming. But mindful of the hour and the precept that after-dinner programs on Friday should be kept short, I will limit my introductions, and by the same token, our honorees have agreed to be very economical in their remarks as well. In his book called The Common Law, published in 1881, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes explained that the life of the law has not been logic, it has been experience. The men and women who comprise the Nashville School of Law's faculty distinguish themselves from other law faculties by bringing to their students not only the logic of the law, but also their day-to-day experiences as judges and lawyers. The faculty is one of our school's greatest assets. At the Nashville School of Law, today's leaders are training tomorrow's lawyers. For over 20 years now, we have recognized and honored the work of all the faculty by singling out one professor whose work, both inside and outside the classroom, exemplifies the commitment to teaching excellence of the entire faculty. Tonight, Robert E. Corlew III joins a very distinguished company of honorees that includes Justice William J. Harbison, Doug Fisher, Harris Gilbert, Judge Ben Cantrell, and Hal Hardin, just to name a few. It would be appropriate to say that Bob Corlew is genetically predisposed toward education and leadership. He is the son of educators. By the time he was 7 years old, he had learned to drive a car and had organized his second-year class into a club. His parents characterized him as a handful. Bob became an Eagle Scout when he was 13 and served as a page in the United States Senate before he graduated from high school. He returned to Murfreesboro to practice law after receiving his undergraduate degree from Davidson College and his law degree from St. Mary's College. He soon became active in the civil life there. He joined the Murfreesboro Noon Lions Club in 1978 and was elected to the Murfreesboro City Council in 1982. In 1984, Bob began his judicial career as the judge on the General Sessions Court of Rutherford County. 6 years later, he became chancellor for the 16th Judicial District, where he served with distinction until his retirement in 2014. During his time on the bench, Chancellor Corlew was invited to sit as a special judge on the Tennessee Court of Appeals, the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals, and the Tennessee Supreme Court's Special Workers' Compensation Appeals panel. In 1999, Chancellor Corlew accepted Dean Joe Loser's invitation to join the faculty of the Nashville School of Law. During his 15-year tenure on the faculty, Professor Corlew taught courses in restitution and remedies, negotiable instruments, and secured transactions. These are very important courses for law students, but I dare say that many of us in the room would not necessarily describe them as popular or entertaining. Despite the challenging subject matter, Professor Corlew was a popular teacher who was respected by his students. One former student noted that he treated everybody with dignity, while another observed that he was patient and that he would go out of his way to answer students' questions. Even though his work on the bench and in the classroom consumed a great deal of his time, Bob had another passion for service, the Lions Club. I mentioned earlier that he joined the Murfreesboro Downtown Lions Club in 1978. His service did not stop there. He was instrumental in creating other Lions Clubs, including the Murfreesboro Downtown Barristers Club, a Lions Club whose members are all lawyers. His work with the Lions Club soon eclipsed Rutherford County. Bob served in local, state, and regional leadership roles. In fact, it was his commitment to the Lions Club International that was the reason for his decision in 2014 to retire from the bench and from the school. Because in 2014, Bob was elected as second vice president of the Lions Club International, and just last year he became the 100th president of Lions Club International. Now his work on behalf of the Lions Clubs takes him to all corners of the world. We are indeed fortunate that he was able to adjust his schedule to join us here tonight. It was either Nashville or Finland, and we're glad he's here. I would be remiss if I failed to note that despite all the professional and civic accomplishments, Bob's family plays a central role in his life. He and his wife, Diane, have raised 5 children and are blessed with 8 grandchildren, 2 of whom are with us tonight. When they are not traveling for Lions Clubs, Bob and Diane spend their time at their home in Milton, Tennessee. The theme for Bob's presidency of the Lions Club International this year is New Mountains to Climb. It fits Bob to a T. Bob has always looked for new challenges. More importantly, as a professor at our school, he unfailingly not only helped his students meet the challenges of law school, but also, by example, inspired them to continue to look for new mountains to climb of their own. Chancellor, Professor, President Corlew, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the stage to present you the Distinguished Faculty Award for 2017. If you'd come forward, please.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. It's such a sincere joy for me to have the opportunity to be here tonight. And I must tell you that I so very sincerely appreciate this honor which the law school has given to me. I suppose an honor is much greater when it is given to you by your peers and given to you by those whom you respect. And I so thank you so much for your recognition this evening. I had the great privilege to teach at the Nashville School of Law for 15 years, and I enjoyed every moment. And many of the students who were students when I was there later practiced in my court, and I can say they were always prepared and always made excellent presentations. As president of Lions International, it has been my joy during the last 3 years to enjoy really truly a different world. When I was on the bench, of course, I stayed in one corner of one room for almost all of the time, and during the last 3 years I've been to well over 100 countries, all 50 states, and I've had the privilege to meet people and see those in need and see those who are helping to better their communities and their world. Lions International is now the largest service organization in the world, and we've increased in membership just this year while I've been president by more than 50,000 members. We have more clubs now in more countries than we've ever had in the world. Very soon I'll have the opportunity to go to China because through the efforts of the Lions, we have eradicated a disease called trachoma, which at one point was about 50% of the trachoma cases were in China. And because of the work of the Lions, we have eradicated that disease totally, and will celebrate that eradication as proclaimed by the World Health Organization. Again, thank you so much, and keeping with the theme of keeping the remarks brief, I hope I haven't violated that policy already. I thank you so much for the honor that you have given to me, and to the law students who are here tonight. I could congratulate you, and those who are law school graduates who are now in practice. I recognize that each of you have as one of your goals that of making your communities and making your world a better place to live. Dean, thank you so very, very much.
The stories of our graduates are inextricably woven into the fabric of our school's history. Our graduates have excelled in the practice of law and in many other fields of endeavor, and they are currently practicing in 89 of Tennessee's 95 counties. The Nashville School of Law is proud of its graduates and their accomplishments. Since this dinner started in 1994, we have recognized and honored 33 of those graduates. Tonight, we honor 2 more for their professional and personal achievements. They hail from the classes of 1974 and 1988. Following the tried and true adage, age before beauty, I will begin with a 1974 graduate. Larry Williams personifies tenacity, camaraderie, and excellence in the practice of law. He was born and raised in Nolensville, Tennessee, and graduated from Franklin High School. He received his undergraduate degree in 1969 from Middle Tennessee State University, but he did not spend all his time studying there. While at MTSU, he assisted in obtaining the charter for the SIE fraternity at MTSU, but more importantly, he met his wife, Marilyn, while a student there. Larry enrolled in the Nashville School of Law, and to support himself and his family, he was a teacher at Nolensville Elementary School and also coached baseball. Larry graduated with 46 other students who made up the now famous or notorious class of 1974, perhaps the school's most closely knit class. Larry practiced law here in Nashville ever since. During the past 47 years, he has practiced law with Judge Steve Dozier, himself a distinguished NSL graduate and professor, for 5 years at Williams, Smith, and Dozier. He is now president of the law office of Larry R. Williams. Joining him in his practice are 3 other Nashville School of Law graduates, including his son Jonathan, Ann Douglas Tyser, and Ashley Ladd. The firm focuses on personal injury, Social Security, disability, business, probate, and real estate work. Larry is admitted to all courts of record at Davidson County, as well as the Tennessee Supreme Court, the United States District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee, and the United States Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. Larry has also been certified as a civil trial specialist by the National Board of Trial Advocacy. He has served on the board of directors of the Nashville Bar Association, where his fellow directors elected him first vice president. Larry is also a member of the Tennessee Bar Association, a sustaining member of the Association of Trial Lawyers of America, a member of the Tennessee Trial Lawyers Association, and a former member of the National Organization of Social Security Claimants Representatives. Dean Lackey invited Larry to join the Nashville School of Law's faculty in 1983, and during his 22-year teaching career, Larry taught local government and evidence. He was very popular with his students. I mentioned earlier that Larry personifies tenacity and resilience. After suffering a stroke 17 years ago, Larry recovered and resumed his active practice of law. While he no longer appears in court, Larry is personally and directly involved in every client's case. He brings his experience and skills to bear in analyzing business transactions, trial preparation and strategy, and negotiations. Larry and Marilyn have 2 grown children who are also blessed with 3 grandchildren. Jonathan, who has been practicing with his father for 10 years, accurately summed up the bench and bar's esteem for his father when he observed, and I'm now quoting Jonathan, "It has been an unexpected pleasure to routinely meet other lawyers and former clients who worked with my father years ago and who still go out of their way to tell me what a hardworking, great lawyer and person he is." And to top it off, Larry is a hardcore fan of Vanderbilt sports. Larry, please join me on the stage to enable all of us to recognize your professional successes, your resilience, your contributions to Nashville's legal community, and your loyal support for the Nashville School of Law.
Thank you. Dean Koch, I want to thank you and the Board of Professional Responsibility, and John Rochford, by the way, is a classmate of mine and is at the Bar Association. So I want to thank my wife, Marilyn, and my boys, Corey and Jonathan. Now let's talk about the Nashville School of Law and the reunion that is held each year at the school. Bob Stroop owns the Donahoe Hotel in Red Boiling Springs. And the hotel was built in 1900. And Bob did a great job organizing the event. And show the pictures if you could. And by the way, it was October. I screwed up there a little bit. But October. Each year in October, we do the reunion. But Bob, stand up and be recognized. Stand up there, please, and be recognized for a fine job. John McLemore did the pictures for the reunion and for many other events at the reunion. And I'd like for you to show the pictures of the events that have been held in October. Also, Beth McDonald at the law school did an excellent job. Beth, stand up and be recognized, please. Where are you? Where are you? Also, friends and clients of mine that have supported me through my career in law are here tonight. And I want to thank them for the honor. And stand up, please, and be recognized. Thank you very much for the honor.
Good job.
Now, for those of you who are not members of the class of 1974, they know how to get together. And if you want any pointers, call Larry Williams. Larry will tell you how to do it. And now to our 1988 graduate. About 15 years ago, Will Kimbrough, a songwriter that some of you may be familiar with, wrote a song called Piece of Work. While there are many phrases and words that capture what Mary Frances Rudy is all about, service, generosity, glass ceiling breaker, good neighbor come to mind, but I believe that piece of work fits Mary Frances too. Her life has been punctuated by capitalizing on opportunities, hard work, and an indefatigable spirit. Mary Frances was born in Nashville, the third of 4 children, into a family that is part of Nashville's rich heritage. Her father, Frank, and his brother made Rudy's Farm sausage. When she was small, Mary Frances and her 2 sisters, known back then as the Rudy Sisters, performed regularly on the Grand Ole Opry and on television singing the Rudy Farms country jingle. The Rudy Sisters also were frequent performers on a daily gospel television program. After she graduated from Two Rivers High School, she married her high school sweetheart and had her first child. Later, faced with the challenges of being a single mother, Mary Frances moved back in with her parents and enrolled at Belmont University. It took her only 3 years to earn the degree, and after graduating in 1971, she embarked on a career as a middle school teacher. That's what many women did at the time, teaching. Mary Frances remarried and left teaching after her second child was born. By the early 80s, she was again a single parent with 4 children to raise, and so she decided to resume her teaching career. After learning that teachers with master's degrees could earn higher salaries, Mary Frances enrolled at Middle Tennessee State University to study aeroscience engineering. You'll have to ask her. Several years passed, and one day, in totally separate contexts and conversations, two of Mary Frances's friends, who happened to be teachers at the Nashville School of Law, suggested that she should consider going to law school. Mary Frances viewed those conversations as a sign from God and made an appointment with Dean Lackey. She convinced Dean Lackey to admit her even though she had not got around to taking the LSAT. But she promised him that she would take it as soon as possible and that she would withdraw from school if her score on the LSAT was not high enough. During her first year of law school, several of Mary Frances's acquaintances told her that she was not smart enough to be a lawyer. That was all the incentive that Mary Frances needed. She graduated from Nashville School of Law in 1988 in the top quarter of her class. However, I am sad to report that the school's official records reflect that she never got around to taking the LSAT. But don't be concerned about that, Mary Frances. The statute of limitations has run on that. And so Mary Frances embarked on her legal career. Like many NSL grads, she hung out a shingle and began taking whatever work came through the door. During her legal career, she practiced with several lawyers and helped found 2 law firms. In 1999, Mary Frances and 2 of her daughters founded Rudy Title and Escrow Company. The business now employs 33 employees and has offices in Hillsborough Village and East Nashville. The company has closed more than 45,000 transactions and is now closing more transactions than any other title company or lawyer in the Nashville metropolitan area. The company is the top producer for Fidelity Chicago Title Life Insurance Company, and in 2016, Rudy Title and Escrow received the Tennesseans' Reader's Choice Award for the best title company. As if she did not have enough to occupy her time, Mary Frances also operates a multi-million-dollar commercial real estate business with her siblings and 2 of her daughters, and she is also the moving force behind the Nashville Palace, where many country stars got their start. But Mary Frances has other passions as well. She is unfailingly generous and community-minded. Most who know her will quickly recount individual acts of kindness toward them, and she has served on the boards of Belmont University, the Second Base Foundation, and Trevecca Towers Retirement Center. She is also a world traveler who may eventually catch up with Bob Corlew. She's visited over 90 countries. And then there's her family, her 4 children, her 18 grandchildren, and her 2 great-grandchildren. The family increased in size on New Year's Day this year when Mary Frances married Joe Burnett in Havana, Cuba. Daughters are students of their mother. And to sum up her mother, one of Mary Frances's daughters observed, and I'm quoting, "Mary Frances did all this because she never accepted the word can't, not from herself, not from her children, family members, or friends, and not from the hundreds, if not thousands, of people she's helped. She believes that what happens each day has less to do with where we start than with our attitude along the way." Mary Frances, the Nashville School of Law community salutes you tonight, and we are delighted to present you with this Distinguished Alumni Award. Please make your way to the stage to accept our thanks.
Oh, I am so honored to be able to be here tonight and to be recognized. This is something I never dreamed would happen. And my thanks go out to Nancy Corlew and Jim Everett, who on Memorial Day over 30 years ago, at 2 different picnics, suggested that I should go to law school. And thanks to Dean Lackey, who never remembered that I never took the LSAT because I probably would not have passed it and would never have been able to make it to where I am today. The law school has just been so instrumental in changing my life and the life of my children, and hopefully will soon change the life of my grandchildren. When I started law school in 1984, there were very few women. Only 18% of the women at that time were lawyers in Nashville. And so it was very unusual for me, coming from a school teaching background and thinking that I would only be a stay-at-home mom, to be able to get into law school. I was very vocal in law school, and there's probably not an instructor or a teacher that I had that doesn't remember my participation in class. But I'm going to tell you a story that happened that the only ones in this room will remember were the ones that were in my law school class. But we were in civil procedure with Judge Loser at the time. He was not the dean. And as he started the class, he said, well, we're going to have a test next week on Thursday night. And I raised my hand and I said, Judge Loser, is there any way that we could put that test off to maybe 2 weeks? Because we've already found out that we're going to have another test, first period. And if we could just put that test off another week, it would sure be a lot better for us. And with that, Judge Loser grabbed the books that were on the podium. He walked over, raised them over his head, and they came crashing down to the floor. You could have heard a pin drop in that classroom. And I knew I was done. That was it. My career was over. And with that, he looked at me and he said, who's teaching this class, me or you? And I said, well, you are, Your Honor, you are. And he said, okay, we got that straight. And with that, he walked back over, he picked the books up, he put them back on this podium, and he looked at me and he said, okay, now what night was it that you wanted to take that exam? And I said, well, I really would like to have it in a week or maybe even 2. And he said, okay, that's when we're going to have it. And from then on in class, if anyone ever said, Judge Loser, what are we going to have the test, or when are we going to do this? He would say, well, you know, I just teach this course. Captain Rudy sets all the test schedules. You'll have to talk to her to figure that out. When I graduated from law school, I think our pass rate at that time was about 30% that would pass the bar exam. We had gone from our class, I think, I was told tonight, we had like 180 that started off with us. 90 was where we were in December. And by the time we finished, we had about 30 people that had started with us and finished. I'm really proud to say that as of today, and with Sam being one of them, we're now had 18 judges that came out of that 30 that passed with me. But that day, when I went to find out the results, and at that time, if you remember, they were posted on the doors at the LNC Tower. And I felt nothing but sure shock and glee when I realized that I had passed the bar exam the first time. Like I said, it was a surprise, and I had made no preparation for what would happen after that, because I really didn't expect to pass. So it was December. I had bought a full-length mink coat from June Carter Cash's garage sale. And I had received a briefcase as a graduation gift. So I put on my full-length mink and brought my empty briefcase and was just kind of walking fast up and down Union Street. It made me feel good just to kind of be walking, waiting for some inspiration from God again to tell me what I was going to do next. And at that point, I ran into Dan Van Sant. And Dan congratulated me on passing the bar. And he said, now what are you going to do? And I said, well, I really don't know. And he said, well, you know, Herman and I have sold Herman Bradley, we've sold our accounting practices, and we've got some nice space up on the 21st floor of First American Center. Why don't you come up and practice with us? And I said, well, what would that cost? And he said, well, we'll take 50% of what you make. Now, I'm not real good at math, but 50% of nothing is nothing. So the price was right. And so that's where I went, was to Herman, with Herman Bradley and Dan Van Sant. I got my office all fixed up. It looked really good. I had windows all the way across looking over downtown. And what do you do when you have nothing to do? You go to lunch. So I went to lunch with Dwayne DeVault, who was in the same office with John Nolan. And as we finished lunch, as I was going down the elevator, I met a man named Pat Patton, and he said, now what do you do? And I said, well, I'm a lawyer. And he said, well, what kind of law do you practice? And I said, well, civil litigation. And he said, oh, that's nice. Well, I went to lunch. John Nolan said, if ever I can help you, be sure to call me. And as I was going back to my office, the receptionist said, this man left something for you. And when I looked at it, it was a civil warrant where he had been sued. So my very first case, was here. So I rushed back down the elevator and ran to John Nolan. And I said, you remember, you told me you would help me. So tell me, what do I do? Well, now, John handled multi-million-dollar lawsuits. So he told me to countersue. You know, I made pictures, exhibits. My general sessions presentation was full-blown. And my client was surprised that I'd countersued. He didn't realize that. And he was really surprised that I won. And so when I got back to my office after telling John and telling him my success, I had 24 red roses for my first case. And that started my legal career. I was taking anything that came along, and of course I was still trying to meet people. So that year at December, I went to some Christmas parties, and one of my general sessions judges appointed me to represent a man for burglary. And I knew nothing about that either. And so I was trying to negotiate with one of the DAs, and I made this famous statement that all the DAs still today remind me of. In my frustration to try to get a good deal for my client, I said, my client will be represented adequately if I have to hire a lawyer to take care of him. And so with that, I then went and got Lionel Barrett. And Lionel went back to court, went back with me the next day, and we were able to work everything out. I gravitated to divorce work mainly. But I had a girlfriend that had a brother that also had gotten charged with a criminal matter in Wilson County. And I told her, I said, I'm just really not good with this. And she said, he can't get a public defender. He has nobody. Won't you please just help him? And I said, well, I'm slightly better than nothing, but that's about it. So I go to Wilson County to help work this out, and I talk with the DA, and after the DA tells me what he'll agree to, I go back and sit down next to Jack Lowry. And so Mr. Lowry asked me, where are you from and where you practice, and I told him. And then about that time, the judge comes into the courtroom, and the DA gets up and announces what we've agreed on. And so I'm thrilled that I'm done with this and I can get back to Nashville. So I go back to my seat, pick up my briefcase, and Jack Lowry says, that was a great deal. I can't believe you got that from that DA. That is just fantastic. And I said, well, thank you very much. And I was really ready to get out of Wilson County. And so as I'm just about out the door, the judge says, Miss Rudy, will you draft the order? Well, I get in my car, and I'm driving back, and I'm thinking, what did I get? I don't even remember exactly what this DA, all this stuff, I wasn't sure what I got. I got back to my office, and I called up Jack Lowry. And I said, Mr. Lowry, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I met you this morning in Wilson County in the courtroom. And he said, well, yes, I do remember you. And I said, do you remember you told me I got a great deal for my client? And he said, yes. And I said, could you tell me what I got? And so Jack said, what's your bar number? And I told him, and he said, I'll draft the order, sign your name by permission, and file it for you. So next, like I'm saying, I realized I had a lot more experience in divorce work, both professionally and personally. And so that's where I kind of hung my shingle. And I began to get the attention of Neal and Harwell. Aubrey and Harwell and Jim Neal started sending me some of their divorce clients. Now, this is what they would say, and I'm sorry Aubrey's not here tonight to hear this, but Aubrey and Jim would say, you know, we really think you would best be represented by a woman in this case. The truth of the matter was, they were broke, the clients were. And so Jim and Aubrey knew that their chances of getting paid were not real good, but they knew that if they sent me those clients, I might get them back on their feet where they'd be making money, and since I didn't do corporate law, they'd get them back when they could pay. They sent me a country music star that was in a very serious custody battle. Now, at this point, and any of you remember where you were at a year out of law school. I was a year out of law school at this point. And I knew when I looked at the facts of this case, I knew it could not be won. I also knew that I was going to get a lot of press, not only locally, but a lot nationally. And so I went back to my friend Lionel Barrett and I said, if I take this case, I'm going to get my name's going to be out there, and I know that's going to happen, but I won't win the case. I don't think I can win. What will happen to my reputation? And Lionel said, they'll remember your name, but they will never remember whether you won or lost. And so I took the case, and that's exactly what happened. I did get the national coverage. I was on hard copy, and every day I'd pick up the Tennessean, and they would pick and choose what part of the pleadings they wanted to talk about. It was very frustrating. But from that point, my name was out there, and I did really get a lot of business. I had to hire 2 secretaries, had another receptionist, just to try to keep up with the dictation and all that I had. The problem was I had a real soft spot in my heart for poor people, and I was not making any money practicing law. And so I get up one morning, and Pat Flynn says, who do we know, which of our lawyer friends do we know that would like to be corporate counsel for a title company that does real estate closings? And I said, Pat, I don't even know anybody. That sounds so boring. I just can't imagine any of my friends would ever want to do that. Well, I went to court that day, and the judge ruled against me. Same set of facts with another case before me she ruled for. I sat there all day long and didn't make a dime. The lawyer and I that supposedly had agreements, he pretended we didn't. And my client lied on the stand. And so with that, I came home that night, and I said, now tell me again, what was that guy's name that's looking for the corporate counsel? Because I think I'm tired of this, and I'm ready to try something else. And so I did go, and I talked to a man named Pat Vaden that owned Cumberland Title. And when I talked to Pat, I said, I got to be honest with you. I really don't know that much about real estate closings and all. But I didn't know anything about what I'm doing right now either, and I learned that. So if you hire me, I think I can learn. Well, once again, believe it or not, he hired me. And I grew his company from 3 offices to about 8 in just about a year and a half's time. Now, the thing that makes this really interesting about the title searches is, you remember in real property when they take you to the registrar's office and teach you how to search titles? You remember doing that? Well, guess what? The night they did that in law school, once again, I thought that would be real boring, and that would be something that I would not want to do, so I cut class. And I went to the Gold Rush to drink with friends. And so let's fast forward now to what he's told you about my company. I think I have 38 employees, is what I've been told, and that we are the largest in town. And guess what? I still have never searched a title. I am so very, very thankful for this law school. This law school has definitely changed my life, and I am so thankful for the instructors that I had that were so patient with me. And when I started the Nashville School of Law, I was a confused young mother. I had no idea the direction my life was going to take, and they gave me a chance, and that's what I really needed, was that chance. And I am so thankful for the many judges that are here in the courtroom, in the auditorium here, that saw that new bar number of mine and knew how inexperienced and green I was and had mercy on me. And I'm thankful for the clerks in the clerk's offices that helped me find pleadings that I could copy and learn from. And I'm so thankful for so many lawyers, and many of you know who you are, that really gave me a lot of help. You'd look over pleadings for me. There were no lawyers in my family, and I really didn't have anyone to go to. But I am happy to say, and I'm going to ask my lawyers to stand up, because I am so happy to have, come on guys, and Megan, I have, and Will is 4th year, we get Will up, but these are my lawyers that I have, and only one is not a Nashville School of Law graduate, and so I urge the rest of you to continue to hire Nashville School of Law graduates, because what we're turning out right now is unbelievable. These characters are so much smarter and brighter than I was at the time that I got out, and I commend you that are instructors. You're doing a great job. And I want to say that Larry, although he has grandchildren and all, I think he's a slacker. I mean, if he's just had, 2 or 3 grandkids, I have 18, and I have my own cheering section here tonight, so thank you very much.
Let's give Mary Frances, Larry, and Bob one more round of applause. Now our major domo, Charlie Niewold, is back on the stage, and he moves around a lot, and we weren't able to catch up with him last year. He is going to make some closing remarks, but before he does, I have 2 gifts for him.
I want to thank every one of you that have come out tonight, and I think we've had a great program. And to keep with the motto, just say thank you and hope you come back next year. Appreciate it. Have a good night.